All right, so I've seen a lot of videos, and it's been happening all throughout the year, primarily at the beginning of the year when people experience a difference in their mortgage payment. Primarily, this is for first-time homeowners that are, getting really caught off guard. But of course, there are owners that have been in their home for years that have experienced either a steady or slow increase in their mortgage payments. Primarily, it's due to their either their uh, property taxes or insurance, because primarily your mortgage is going to stay the same. However much you borrowed at that interest rate is how much you're going to be paying on the mortgage part. But there's another portion you pay primarily. Most people, if you use a loan, you primarily are paying into your escrow every month in order to cover your property taxes and insurance. If you have a deficit at the end, if they didn't, guesstimate the correct amount, then you may have to pay more. If you paid in more than you actually needed, they'll send you a check back at the beginning of the year. That's a beautiful thing. But as mortgage payments start to increase, this it's really causing a strain for a lot of people. And I, for one, had to change my lingo, because I was one that would say, uh, uh, sometimes I would say things like, "Hey, in comparison to rent, you don't have to worry about those increases in rent every year." And a while back, probably after my first or second year, I realized like that can change very easily. And fortunately, now that's not, you'd have to really dig to find some somewhere where I said something like that. And so there are several factors. Those main two factors are your property taxes and your insurance, which is causing those payments to go up. And I think it's akin to what we're experiencing now is kind of akin to what people were experiencing when you would see those home makeover shows, where the struggling family is blessed with a beautiful home. It's got all kind of gadgets, all kind of perfect scenario layout for their kids. They probably got lots of kids, and they probably been doing a lot in the community. It's supposed to have been a blessing, right? So they come in, they get this revamped house, and then you'll hear a lot of stories where people are losing those houses. Why? Because now that the house is worth more, it's being taxed more. The electrical costs, or the utility costs have gone up. The insurance has gone up. All these different things have gone up, and these people end up losing the home when it was supposed to have been a blessing, right? Because it's just a one-time thing. It's not something that's continues. Oh, hey, we're going to continue to help you to pay this thing off. We're just going to make the improvements, and then you fend for yourself. Well, that's kind of what we've been doing in the real estate industry. Like, hey, here, buy this house, and then you fend for yourself after that. I don't think that that's a good idea. And I saw this video. I think it's a really good video, and I just kind of want to expound on it just a little bit here.
Expense that can fluctuate after a home purchase. The average annual homeowners insurance rates in the US increased from $1,984 in 2021 to $2,377 in 2023. One estimate from Insurify predicts average annual rates will rise to roughly $2,500 by the end of 2024.
In the last couple of years, we've seen this spike, this huge increase, and it is because we are having more natural disasters in places. We're having more wildfires, we're having more flooding, we're having more mass destruction events, and those have to be recouped by insurance companies somehow.
Now, I agree with this. I'm not disagreeing with this. I think some of it is a little bit. I think some of it needs to be expounded on a little bit, because not only are these natural disasters and things having a huge effect on it, but also too, if you think about, okay, I've got this house that used to be $150,000. Now it's $250,000. It's a blessing. Again, it's just like the home makeover show. It's a blessing that my property value has increased like that. With that value increase comes a cost, though, right? So the cost for them, let's say, all these damages, these are just the houses that are damaged. There's also the likelihood for a insurance company. They're having to think, what will it cost for me to rebuild this house in case there is a disaster, right? So the property value has gone up. Now I have to think about what it will cost for me to replace this home. And if all the property values have gone up, and they've gone up significantly, my insurance rates are going to have to balance that out as well. So you're going to pay more, because where it used to cost me $160,000 to replace your home, now it's costing me $260,000 to replace your home, and I've got to recoup that as well. Yeah, so that's all critical things for people to know when they're buying a house. And I don't like to to berate, because really, when everything started ticking up, y'all, we really had no idea that this was about to happen. Somebody asked me the other day, an investor was like, "Hey, I really like this house, but I'm hoping in 10 to 15 years that this thing will have appreciated." And I told her, like, "Listen, I don't mean this in an ugly way. I'm sorry. I just literally have no way of guesstimating that. You're taking a risk in this investment, because I have no way of being able to give you any kind of assurance." Most houses, it used to be like 2%. You would see a 2% appreciation, slow and steady growth. Now, I mean, after the last 3 years, we saw a rocket ship take off, and now it's starting to plateau, come down a little bit, and I think it's going to go back up again once interest rates start to level off as well, and come back down to a more reasonable and manageable rate for people. So there's just so many different factors that go into this that we have to be willing to discuss. And I look forward to discussing those things with you. I like to make sure that people are well informed. I feel like, and my center most of my business around the idea that most people can make great decisions when they have good information, right? So when you got enough information, you can make a decision that is good for you. Not just about the scenario, like, hey, this is not just about information about the house, but about yourself as well. Hey, what is your family outlook looking like? You want to add children, or you want to, you're going to be downsizing soon, or children going to have an empty nest. All different kind of factors go in, and the more you can have a good perspective and a wide view of everything that's going on in your life, the more opportunity you have to make a good decision that'll be beneficial for you. So I want to look at the property taxes portion of this video as well. I think this is a really good video from CNBC.
Homeownership is the primary path toward wealth creation in the United States.
Single-family homeowners accumulate an average of $225,000 in wealth from their homes during a 10-year period.
That's huge. I mean, and this is why I'm so bullish on owning homes. We talk a lot about generational wealth. Generational wealth, I think, is a great aspiration. Most people are not going to be able to experience the generational wealth for themselves. Yes, you could have a boom and experience a lot of wealth, but the generational wealth will probably come at the end of what you are you're doing. So I think you can build up into generational wealth as well. Or you can help set the stones for the next generation. So you may not have all the money in the moment to say, here, I'm gonna pass the money. I've got more money than you can spend in your lifetime. Yeah, you may not have that, but maybe I can set you up with a few properties, or just one property where you could come in and live rent free. After I'm gone, you can live rent free, or you can turn around and sell it for the capital. Maybe you can put that into a business that will be able to generate the wealth that our family needs to be generationally wealthy. So there's lots of different opportunities. Maybe you can start the beginning of your rental empire, your real estate empire. So I think being able to have the ownership first, have your stake to claim your portion of America, I think that's super important first. And more than likely, if you maintain it well, if you buy in a savvy area, you're more than likely going to see an increase.
According to a 2022 report from the National Association of Realtors.
That wealth sort of boils down to being primarily only on paper, and the time that you cash in that asset is when you sell the home.
There's a saying, house rich, cash poor, meaning people may own a valuable home, but that doesn't always translate into having cash on hand.
Home prices have been increasing over the last few years, and it's outpaced income for the average consumer. That's a problem because that creates an affordability crisis for the average person.
This can be a problem because as the value of a home rises, so does the cost to maintain it. Property taxes are one of the costs that can increase with the value of the home. Homeowners whose properties were reassessed between 2019 and 2023 amid skyrocketing valuations saw an increase in taxes. The median taxes for properties that were reassessed increased more than $600 for the year between 2019 and 2023.
So that's significant, because that's an extra $50 every month. So, you just want to make sure that you are aware of these things before you get into home ownership. I actually think that those home ownership classes are good. This is probably something that needs to be added and highlighted in our time period. But it's really good information that we need to be aware of.
Local municipalities can do these. Each local government has a different form of them in certain areas where they go, we're going to do an assessment because we need to build some new infrastructure for something. And this is how we're going to raise the funds for it. And so that's another important thing with your realtor, is to talk about, has the town and county been talking about any sort of assessment like this coming up? Have you heard anything? If your realtor says, I don't know, then go get a new realtor right away, because they should be following all this stuff, because they are your advocate and they're your guide.
An expert had told me that property taxes rarely go down. They usually go up.
Property tax increases
Yeah, I think it's a big concern. If your property taxes go down, that's a concern. That's going to be an issue, and I think you should, you'd rather have a slow, steady growth. You don't want it to skyrocket, and you don't want it to go down. If it maintains the same, over several years, I guess that's not terrible. But you want just a slow and steady increase.
in the past 4 years varied by state, with New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York seeing the highest average. Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi saw the lowest.
It's always an option for homeowners to challenge essentially the tax assessment that they're getting relative to their own property. And I've been made aware of, for example, some attorneys that actually are in the business of doing that for homeowners. And I've known of some people who said, hey, what does it hurt to challenge that assessment? I would ask, well, first of all, is it worth your time and potentially your money to challenge that? But if you're really in a situation where you think it's unfair or inaccurate, then I think that's where the challenges really do more properly come in.
And that's something to really consider as well. Something that I like to do is send out reports to the homeowners that I've worked with, because I want you to be aware of the properties that have been selling in the area, in case you do get some kind of like astronomical amount on your property taxes, what they assess your home to be worth. You can go to them and say, hey, look, this is what the houses have been selling for in the area, and I think these should be reassessed. And here in Texas, we're we don't disclose to anybody what houses have sold for. The only people that know are the owners and the realtors that help sell the property. So we're non-disclosure state. That's the word I was looking for. So even the county, they're just coming up with their own assessment of what they think it's worth. So you can go to them and actually say, hey, here's information to show exactly why I believe my taxes should be lower. I mean, my property value should be lower, which will in effect lower your taxes. You need to be aware of those things. They may or may not agree with you. Something that you could set up either in formal or informal presentation with that municipality. So that's something to take advantage of. That's something to think about. Property taxes are not bad. They are used for a lot of different things. We're getting a great exemption here in Texas. We're getting a great exemption. And so a lot of these things play into why you are experiencing what you're experiencing with your mortgage. Don't be dismayed. It's a good thing that your property value is going up. You may have to make some adjustments and lifestyle and things like that for a little while. But I think in the long run, this is going to pay off for most people. All right. And if you'd like more information, would like to talk about these things, please feel free to comment below or send me a private message. I'd be glad to speak with you about these things. And if you got ideas and things like that, want some help, I'd be glad to. I'm not an attorney. I can't do the taxes for you like they were talking about a minute ago to fight those property taxes. I don't know if that's a great investment in your money, but it is something worth looking into. At least I've heard and I've received some mail from these type of attorneys as well. So yeah, keep an eye on your property taxes. It's good. You have to be aware. And being a homeowner, one of the most important things you can do is be aware. Be aware of the state of your home, walk around it, look and see the condition so you know what to repair before it's an issue. See what's going on in the city around you, how it could be affecting you. And then also take a look at, you know, your lender, information that comes from your lender. Know your rights. If you run into financial issues or anything like that, you need to know your rights and how you can, you know, if you run into an issue, how you can circumvent that. So if you want more information, you can check out my blog. It's a great blog. It's got some great information that you should be aware of as well. All right. Thank you. See y'all next time.